This is day 273, and I wanted to come on here. As I said in my previous video, I'm just like taking some me time to myself the next few days. And so I'm not going to be posting as much. I'm just showing up here on IG and talking to you all because I'm committed to doing this 365-day live. What I did wanted to talk about today is authenticity and what it means to me, what it means to my brand, and how this navigates me showing up here on my IG and how I decide to run my business, how I decide to show up, and how I decide what I want to share and what I don't want to share. And this is also to showcase that, kind of noticing everybody else that you follow, and not making assumptions or judgments or passing judgment based on what someone shares on social media. Because it's easy to see someone's life through their lens and what they're going through or what they're posting, but it's not everything. You don't see it all. You don't see what happens behind the scenes. You don't see the moments that are shit. And so kind of going back to authenticity is really huge for me being authentic and being true to myself and true as who I am as a person, true to others. Speaking my truth is very important. Even though sometimes there are moments where I do want to speak my truth and I have so much to say. But unfortunately, if it's with if it's something that is with someone else or another person and they are not open to that conversation, especially as a projector, that, I need to wait for that invitation to come in. And so sometimes there are moments where I can't fully say what I want to say if the invitation is not there. And this is something I am learning to letting go of. There are not always moments that, I can say everything I want to say. And so, where was I going with this? And so it is important, but that to being me and to being authentic and to come on here and being authentic with you and sharing my story, sharing my journey, sharing the ups and downs that I go through in life. And I do my best to share what's going on. I do my best to be vulnerable. But I also have my own boundaries and my boundaries of what I desire to share, what I think is, relevant to my business or relevant to the journey and the lessons that I'm learning. And sometimes I may not actually share the actual story, but I'll share the overall picture. So it may sound vague at times. And that's because I don't think that I need to tell everybody everything of every single detail of my life to successfully run my business, to be seen or invited as a coach, as a friend. There are some things that are more personal and more private. And doesn't mean that that makes me less authentic, or that doesn't make me, worthy as a coach or any of that, because I have heard in like the coaching world, this has come up before quite a few times, where it's like, oh, you know, if you're like a spiritual healer and a coach, like, be vulnerable online, like, share your story. And sometimes they take that as like we need to share every element, every shit show that happens in our life, every lesson. But that doesn't need to be that. You get to share what you feel is right for you. You get to be vulnerable when it feels right for you. And if you don't want to be vulnerable, if you don't want to share, then you don't have to. And I think sometimes we put this pressure on ourselves of how we need to show up on social media, how we need to be around our friends, how we need to, you know, be at work. And, you know, and then sometimes it's like a mask, or sometimes it's like going to the, you know, extremes, because like we feel like we need to do this, or that this is how it should be, or that this is how it has to be. But it doesn't. And so, yeah, I just wanted to come on here and say that I don't share every personal detail of my life on here. I share what I feel is right. And am I going through a not so great time right now? Yes. Do I think I need to share this with you? No. But am I learning about myself, and am I diving more deeper into this lesson that is currently happening, and, you know, understanding what it is, and really navigating and healing and deconditioning all the things? Yeah, that's what I'm doing. And if this is a story that gets shared in the future because it's relevant in some way to what I'm learning now, and like however the future unfolds, that if there's a story to share, then I will share it. And sometimes I do share my stories in hindsight. Like, I don't always share them in the moment. Like, I was obviously sharing in the moment back when I didn't have a home. I was sharing that with you. I was sharing what I was going through. But in that moment, I didn't share that I was also broke. That came later. That came after learning the lessons. That came after me understanding my wounds and my money relationship. And, you know, that whole journey came after. And so, yes, maybe what I'm learning right now during this eclipse season, Mars retrograde, which is obviously thrown me for a loop, may or may not be something that gets shared in the future, and only if I feel like it. But right now, I just feel like it's such a personal matter. It's something that's just too personal, and wouldn't even know how to share it either. But it's the boundaries I've set, that this is not something I want to share on here, and that's okay. And know that it is okay if, you know, you also run a business on, you know, like, if you run your business, you're an entrepreneur, and, you know, you talk about, you know, spirituality, or you're a coach, or any of those like aspects. And, you know, if there are times where you're like, I don't want to share this, you don't have to. You don't have to. There's no one that says that you have to. You don't have to run your business a certain way. You don't have to do things a certain way. You choose how you want to live your life. And as long as you believe that the way that you do it is true and real and authentic, and it is like through what you desire and what your intuition says, then that's just enough. That is just enough to just stay in your lane and do your best. So, yeah, that's what's happening. And so, yeah, that's what I wanted to kind of like show up here and talk about. I think, yeah, and then I think that if, you know, for those of you who do follow a lot of people on social media and everything, don't assume. Don't assume what someone's going through. Don't assume what is going on in someone's life. Like assuming how someone feels, what someone's going through, assuming what's, what their thoughts are, assuming their life via either social media or even if they are a friend, like, and you're just assuming because you're seeing it from an outside perspective. If you haven't had that full conversation with them to actually really know what's going on in their life or what's going on in their mind, you can't assume. None of us can't assume. You know what they say about assume. I'm not going to spell it out for you. And so take it all with a grain of salt, what you see online. And know that just, the bulk of us here are just, actually all of us, we're all just doing our very best. Even if we're, not perfect and we make mistakes along the way and we fuck things up. We're just doing our very best and we're living this life in the best we can. So let's be kind to one another. And I think that's the end of my spiel today. So I'm going to hop off and I'll speak to you all tomorrow.